بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم my beloved ones ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we are going to take today. There are some questions and answers related to the purification during the tawaf. And then we will have a few more Q&As regarding the tawaf, and then inshallah we'll start taking Salatul Tawaf. And as I mentioned previously, the longest chapter and the most Masail Ahkam are related to Tawaf. So Tawaf, and of course, why not? I mean, just think intellectually or logically, because Hajj and Umrah is all about ziyarat, visitation. Ziyarat of who? Visitation of who? The house of God. So if the whole thing is house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, visiting the house of Allah. So, and that's the Kaaba, that's the Tawaf. So Tawaf there's nothing that requires purification in all manasik al-Hajj except Tawaf and Salat al-Tawaf. And all the hassle of purification which we have been discussing, the monthly period and this and non-periodic discharge, and then after the fourth round, all these are in Tawaf and Salat Tawaf. Let's see. So question number one, the person has asked, ذكرتم في المناسك أن الطواف المندوب لا تعتبر فيه الطهارة عن الحدث الأكبر على المشهور، فهذا يعني ذلك توقفكم في المسألة وكونها توقفكم في المسألة وكونها موردا للاحتياط اللزومي. So the person asks that you mention in the manasik that the recommended tawaf does not require purification from the major hadath. That means the impurity that requires a person to perform ghusl. So he can perform in his state of impurity. And the question always comes, if he is not allowed to go into the Masjid al-Haram, enter the Masjid al-Haram, how can he do the tawaf mustahab? We have two things. We have one is tawaf and one entrance of Masjid al-Haram. Both require metaphysical purity. So how can a person do tawaf mustahab and he is not in Masjid al-Haram? Will he be doing from outside of the whole Masjid al-Haram or what? Yes. You can think of lots of scenarios. I mean, it's not like that. Somebody who was like unaware about his situation that he or she is in metaphysical impurity and was in Masjid al-Haram and did the tawaf. So the tawaf, recommended tawaf, happened while that person was in the state of impurity. Correct? Yeah. So now, is that tawaf valid or not? Because that person needs to leave Masjid al-Haram as soon as possible as he realized that he is in the state of impurity. So, be it a guy or a girl, man or a female. But he realized he needs. Now the question is, he did tawaf mustahab. So let's say he had another. He had made an oath or made a vow that if this happens to me, I will be thankful to Allah by performing one tawaf. That's tawaf is mustahab, and the nadhr was fulfilled. Though initially the tawaf is mustahab, but it became obligatory accidentally. Now he's required to do a tawaf, and he did this tawaf and realized that he had forgotten to do ghusl of janaba, ghusl to purify himself from the metaphysical sexual impurity. So, did he fulfill his nadhr? That's the question here. I mean, will his tawaf, recommended tawaf, be correct or not? Did he fulfill? If it's correct, his nadhr is over. If it's not correct because he was in the state of impurity, then then uh, uh, then in this case he'll have to repeat it. So the questioner asked, now this is general ruling al mashhur, based on the popular opinion of the scholars. But what about when say the Sistani says al mashhur? That means he has a different opinion. So the questioner asked that you had mentioned in the manasik that the recommended tawaf does not require purification from the metaphysical impurity, the major metaphysical impurity, based on the popular opinion. فهل يعني ذلك? So does it mean that you are not giving any ruling here and it is considered a case of obligatory precaution? Are you hesitating? Does that mean that you are hesitant in this ruling to follow the mashhur, and it is a case of obligatory precaution for you? So the answer is yes. هذا في حدث الجنابة ونحوه. This is if the metaphysical impurity was such as the sexual metaphysical impurity, janaba, and similarly, and hayd and others as well. Because there are 5 cases where a person becomes metaphysically impure that requires ghusl, like major impurity. Number 1, janaba, sexual defilement. Number 2, monthly period. Number 3, the post-delivery discharge for whoever have delivered the baby. Number 4, the requirement of ghusl, the major istihada. Like we said that ghusl for every salah, and the moderate istihada, 1 ghusl per day. And then we have this touching the dead body. So it's in the case of istihada, it's yes, she requires ghusl, okay, but it's not the case of metaphysical impurity. So she can do the tawaf, she can be in the Masjid al-Haram. So he says that massal mayit, touching dead body, the ruling excludes touching dead body. That if somebody who has touched the dead body, and remember touching the dead body, بعد برده وقبل غسله, after cooling of the body, before washing of the dead body, after cooling of the dead body and before washing it. In this period, somebody touches the dead body, a metaphysical impurity, then he needs to perform the ghusl for the sake of to order for salat and other wajibat. So he says that yes, I on the basis of obligatory precaution, one need to perform ghusl for tawaf mustahab if he or she was in the metaphysical impurity that requires ghusl, except for the impurity of touching the dead body. Then in that case, the tawaf will be valid. Recommended tawaf. We're talking about recommended tawaf. Recommended tawaf will be valid. So that was the thing. So yes, for Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah has a problem. That means if he or she had done that recommended tawaf of nadhr, remember? That means on the basis of obligatory precaution, he or she has to repeat that recommended tawaf, because on the basis of obligatory precaution, he did not fulfill the nadhr. The, the oath was not fulfilled, okay? Or the vow was not accomplished by that tawaf, which, unless if he had touched the dead body and he was in that metaphysical impurity, major metaphysical impurity, Hadl Akbar, um, and he did that kind of tawaf. So then his vow will be fulfilled. So because recommended tawaf is invalid, valid, what the heaven have. It's not a big deal. But yeah, if it is associated with any other, or for the accidental wajib, okay, or you were required, you're paid, somebody paid you money, I'm going to give you $50. Please do one tawaf on my behalf, okay, or behalf of my marhum, or behalf, recommended tawaf. So you took the money, though it is recommended. Now you are obliged to fulfill your part of the deal. Okay, his part of the deal agreement was to give you. He gave you. Now your part of the deal is to bring that tawaf, mustahab tawaf. Okay, so you'll tell, oh, it's a mustahab tawaf. Yeah, either refer to another marja who says it's okay, that tawaf is correct, you don't have to repeat. Otherwise, that $50 will be haram upon you, because you have not fulfilled your part of the deal. So that's why the recommended tawaf is discussed, because there are cases such as tawaf by hiring, or tawaf by vow, or tawaf where the recommended tawaf becomes accidentally obligatory. So it's recommended, but it doesn't require the salat al-tawaf and all those kind of conditions of obligatory tawaf. However, if it becomes accidental obligatory, then in the case of janaba, in the case of all these metaphysical impurity, one should redo it if he had done it out of forgetfulness of the ghusl or something like that. Question number 2. The same question which in the beginning, people, they ask a lot when they read this ruling. Obviously, those who are not attentive, they just sit quiet. But those who are alert and sharp, isn't a person who's in the state of metaphysical impurity, he cannot get inside the Masjid Haram. How can he go into the Tawaf area in the Masjid Haram and he's in the metaphysical? And how can he do recommended Tawaf? Where will he do the recommended Tawaf? So here the question is here, كيف يمكن التوفيق بين حرمة حضور الجنوب? He says, how can someone combine between the ruling of prohibition of entrance of a person who's in the sexual defilement, janaba, major, that he requires ghusl, major metaphysical impurity such as janaba, and in the Masjid al-Haram, Masjidain al-Sharifain, like Masjid al-Haram and Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, min janib, from one aspect, and from other aspect, that the obligatory, the recommended tawaf does not require purification from the metaphysical impurity, based on the popular opinion. So, من الحدث الأكبر المشهور. He said there's no conflict in that. There's no problem in that. Why, Sayyidina? Can you just elaborate on that? Yes. فلو كان ناسيا لجنابته أو جاهلا, if he had forgotten that he's in the metaphysical defilement of sexual impurity, or he was unaware about the ruling and he entered the Masjid Haram, he doesn't know that he cannot enter Masjid Haram. وطاف تطوعا, and he did perform this tawaf, the recommended tawaf, voluntarily, not obligatory, voluntarily tawaf. That means recommended tawaf. ولم يلتفت إلا بعد الانتهاء منه, and he did not become aware except after he was finished. So when he did the rush of the spirituality which was in him, and once he finishes tawaf and the rush was finished of the spirituality, oh, what have I done? You see, um, sometimes this intoxication of spirituality makes a person forget. So then he realized, oh, after it was done, oh my goodness, I'm on Janaba. I have to get the hell out of here, get the heaven out of here, whatever. So, and he rushes. ولم يلتفت إلا بعد الانتهاء منه. And he did not realize or became aware except after he was done with the tawaf. So his tawaf will be correct based on the mashhur opinion. Remember, say the Sistani has obligatory precaution except in which? Except in the masil mayyit, touching the dead body. Okay. Question number 3. من طاف في العمرة. Whoever does the tawaf in the umrah أو الحج بطهارة العذرية. So whoever performed the tawaf of umrah and hajj with the secondary purification. What is the secondary purification? The primary purification is from water, which is the wudu, proper wudu with proper parts, and they're like washing the hands and washing the arms and face and everything. Now, the secondary wudu is if you have a bandage, okay, and or cast or whatever, that's jabira, that's cast, that's a bandage, something. So in this case, that wudu is incomplete. However, it is sufficient because due to the excuse. So it is called the wudu out of excuse, purification out of excuse. In other case, tayammum. Okay. So, but here, say the Sistani Damadallo is talking about the jabira, wudu al jabira, wudu over the bandage, over the cast or the gypsum. من طاف في العمرة أو الحج بطهارة العذرية كالوضوء جبيرة. Whoever performs this tawaf of Umrah or Hajj with this purification, the secondary purification, which is due to an excuse, such as what, Sayyidina? Such as the wudu over the bandage or the gypsum or the cast, wudu jabira, they call it jabira. ثم ارتفع عذره بعد ذلك قبل انقضاء وقت الطواف. His excuse relieved. That's a miracle happened. Okay. He was like, oh, I'm healed. I'm cured. I'm in Makkah. Thank you, God. This and that. Miracles can happen. Alhamdulillah. You see, but not everybody claims miracle is miracle. We have to be careful. The people, they try to fool the people as well. So, but this guy really happened. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieved him from pain, injury, whatever was the cause of the cast or the bandage or the gypsum, and the pain and all this left. He was relieved. قبل انقضاء وقت الطواف, before the time of tawaf was done. فهل يلزم إعادة من الطهارة الاختيارية? Is it obligatory upon him to repeat the primary method of purification, that the purification without excuse? He says it's not obligatory. So now we have to just try to reflect upon this time. We never knew that there was a time for tawaf. Yeah, if we recall in the rules of doubts, we mentioned that the rules of doubts that in قاعدة الفراغ والتجاوز, if you have passed, if you have entered Salat al-Tawaf, okay, that means you have passed the Tawaf. You have moved over, the ruling of moving over or end. So once you enter Salat al-Tawaf, your time of Tawaf is done. So any doubt happens about the performance of any type of things in the tawaf, we say, move on, carry on. You have passed over. You've moved over. Qa'idatul tajawuz, ruling of the moving over, your ruling of passing over, your ruling of complete and entering another. So that's the time. That means now the time to fix anything doubtful. Not if you're certain, you have to fix it. But here you are doubting. So the ruling here says that when he says time of tawaf, that's where you enter another state, or you exit Masjid Haram, or you exit the tawaf area. Okay, you are in the Safa and Marwa, and you said, "Oh, I." I feel that I'm okay now. Khalas, I mean, you are okay. You completed your tawaf. You don't have to redo the tawaf because your excuse was you relieved from your excuse of Jabira that made you do the wudu of Jabira. Um, the excuse was relieved after the time of tawaf. That means after you completed the tawaf and you entered into another stage, or you exited the Masjid Haram. Okay. What about the person who has a continuous flow of urine or stool? That's called maslus, means the one who has this dripping of the urine, or mabtoon, the one who has the problem of continuous discharge of stool. May Allah bless those elderly people, or even non-elderly people. Some of them are young and they have some kind of problem, disease, and they have these things. May Allah cure them. It's not an easy thing, especially for those people who love to be in the state of purity and purification. And if they are going through these kind of circumstances since childhood, they have been very much concerned about the purity and purification. And now they have to go through this case where najasat is discharging every moment. That's not an easy state. Bless the heart of these people, bless this, give them strength. But Islam also is not that tough. So Islam has made some easy rules for them. So there are some exceptional rules. And so Mabtoon is called the one who has the discharge of stool. So here this, or someone know, is a gas problem, you see. Um, Involuntarily the gas leaks out. Somehow some muscular sphincter, muscular problem happens, and these kind of things happen. May Allah cure all these beloved ones who have this urge for to be in purity and purification, and they have to go through these kind of things. So he says that what is the ruling of Mabtoon, the person who has this discharge of stool in the obligation of Hajj? So he says that يكتفي بالطهارة العذرية في صلاته. The way he performs his secondary purification in the salat, he will perform in the tawaf. That's it. So and these are three types. If you'll have to go back to the chapter of purification, wudu, and also, and you will find these kind of rulings there. Because the issue is this is physical najasat. In physical najasat, there is a kind of leniency, and then metaphysical impurity, ghusl and wudu. So this kind of situation, like, okay, so either there are three scenarios. This guy doesn't have any time, continuous flow. This person does the purification, okay, and enters the salat immediately. And during the salah, the discharge is continuously happening of the stool, or and then he finishes the salah, and his salat is okay. There's another scenario, someone who has a period of purity. That means he knows that there is a period in which there is a period in which he will be able to perform the wudu. Okay, but then uh, the discharge will continue. So in this case, some of the scholars, they say you have to wait for that time. If you know that like 4 o'clock, 4 p.m., your stomach, you use the bathroom, everything, and you have some time clean until the things pile up back again, enough for you to pray. And during the prayer, the discharge starts. So you will have to choose that time. If someone is able to perform has some proper time to perform the purity and the salat completely without any interruption or disruption of the najas due to the najasa, then that person will have to choose that time. So if there is time, choose that time. If there is no time, pray any time, and your salat will be okay, even though the discharge is continuous. That's mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said that يكفي بالطهارة العذرية كما في صلاتهم. The tahara, the purification, the secondary purification or the purification done due to an excuse will be sufficient for him as it is in the rules of salat. وإن كان لحوة استحبابا الجمع بين ذلك وبين الاستنابة للطواف ركعتين. Even though it is recommended precaution to combine, recommended precaution, not obligatory. Obligation, خلاص. To combine between doing it by himself with the secondary purification, secondary, and to appoint a delegate, a representative to perform the tawaf and salatul tawaf on his behalf. Question number 5. شخص لا يمكنه التحفظ. Someone he cannot secure himself from the gases, stomach gases. I mean, stomach gases, you know, the gas which invalidates the wudu. Somebody would say, okay, what about if I barf? Like, that's also a gas coming out. Yes, but that does not invalidate your wudu. We are talking about the gases which invalidate the wudu, and I don't want to go into specifics. So, he has this gas problem, stomach gases, okay, continuous. So he can't even, like, he just started his wudu and he just started the first round and whoopsie daisy. So even he cannot complete the first round. So he says he cannot secure himself from the discharge of the winds or breaking the winds from the gases, or to this extent that he is not even able to complete the one round without it. So what will be the ruling about his tawaf and salat al-tawaf? The answer, the ruling of the continuous hadath, like continuous urine or continuous discharge of stool, will apply on this person. يلحق حكم دائم, similarly to the way it is applied in the rulings of salat, daily salat, obligatory salat. And he explains, so what are those rulings, Sayyidina? Can you remind us, please? No problem. فَإِنْ كَانَ لَا يَجِدُ فَتْرَةً. If he does not find a gap, a pause during the duration of the time of salah, like Dhuhr till Maghrib, enough time. So if there is a gap in between, that he has some time for purification or offering salah without any disruptions of whoopsie daisy or whatever, then now this were the the gases coming from the mouth. So, but we are talking about the other. So, the one which invalidates the wudu. So, if there was a time enough for him to perform the purification, okay, and the tawaf, then he needs to choose that time. Or because some like Salat al-Maghrib, the time frame is big from the sunset till the rise of the dawn for those who have excuse. And this guy's excuse, okay, he doesn't find any time except after midnight. So for those who have excuse after midnight due to travel, sickness, whatever their time, the salah does not become qada after midnight. It extends until the fajr, rise of the dawn. So you have enough time for Maghrib and Isha. And you have a bit good time from Dhuhr and Asr, Dhuhr time till Maghrib time. But the only time which a person might encounter this situation that no time is available, that is the time of Fajr, from rise of the dawn to the sunrise. It's very short time in many countries or in average countries, basically at 1 hour or 1 hour, 20 minutes in average. Let's say 1.5 hours in average. So if he finds time to perform the purification and the tawaf and salat al-tawaf, he should delay his tawaf and salat al-tawaf until that time enters. Okay, so that's number one. No, he does not have that time. He has some time where he can do his purification. However, when he starts doing the tawaf, some part of the tawaf, or some part of the salat, whoopsie daisy. Okay, so the wind breaks. Again, the same ruling will apply. Choose that time where you have some time for purification. If no time at all, then pray, perform the wudu and purification and put diapers, okay? And then diapers is on all the cases that a person should secure the najasat from seeping out of his dress, okay? Because you can't cause impurity of Masjid al-Haram, not masjid, any masjid. Any masjid, if God forbid a drop of blood or drop of urine falls, you have a child and the diaper was najis and it made the masjid najis. The purification, the obligation of purification of masjid is instantaneous. One should instantly go, it's wujub, yani wujub, strictly, immediately go and purify that, or inform someone to purify that place immediately if you don't know the rules of purification, all those kind of things, but instantly. So that's why it is necessary that when whoever enters the masjid should secure himself. If he has some najasat on his body or a dress, he should secure that najasat from not seeping out and causing impurity to the masjid, because these rules are strict when it comes to the purity of the masjid. So let's see. Yes. So he says that the ruling of the one who is in continuous impurity in his daily salat will be applied. Therefore, if someone did not find a time enough, or some small time, a time or enough time that would allow him to do his purification like obtain purification and some of the tawaf, and then offer the salat, then he should not be concerned about whatever is discharged from him after performing the tawaf, or during performing the tawaf, or during performing his salat of tawaf. Khalas, you chose the time in which you can have some purity and some part of the tawaf or some part of the salat. Choose that time. وهو باق على طهارة ما لم يصدر منه حدث غير حدث المبتلى به. And he's going to maintain his purity as long as other type of impurity is not discharged, other than whatever he has a problem with. So he has a problem with discharge of stool, for example. So if gas comes out, no, then your wudu is invalid. But huge things are coming out, yeah, but that is different. That is different cause of impurity. This is gas, that is stool. Okay. A drop of blood came out. No, you have to go and obtain the purification. Baba, heavy things are coming out, discharging, it's leaking out. So one drop of blood, I mean, one drop of urine came out, khalas, and yeah, because this is not your disease. This is not your continuous problem. Continuous problem is discharge of stool. In this case, in this ruling, your continuous problem is discharge of gases. Okay. Not the urine, not stool, not any other thing which invalidates the wudu. So if any other thing other than the problem you have that invalidates the wudu encounters, then you need to redo the wudu. Other than these things, other than this circumstances you have, a situation you have, a najasat discharge you have to obtain wudu and purification as well. But for this, you are exempt. This step, even if it is just the gases continuously come out, you did the wudu in that time which you secured the purity. Yes. So here ما لم يصدر منه حدث غير حدث المبتلى به أو نفس الحدث غير مستند إلى مرضه. No more than that, he said. Even the same, like for example, the gases which are coming out, you have like a frequency, like kind of um, uh, due to the disease. But one gas came out which was not related to the disease, and you knew that this gas is not the gas of the disease which I have. This gas is the different type. I don't know, maybe the smell was different or something like that. Anyhow, so there may be some different. Or let's say the one who has maybe the urine problem can be, or the stool problem can be more clearer. So the urine problem is it gets drop discharge. Once it comes out like in a thread flow, this is not your disease. This you let it go. Okay. He's wearing diaper. Okay. He's wearing something. He's wearing secure. So he said, okay, I mean, I'm najis, I'm dripping, drop. And now I have the urge to let it go. Let it go. Khalas, drop urine, 1 liter urine. What does it make any difference? No, Baba, it makes difference. The drop coming out is disease. Now you want to do the normal urination. So this is an obvious example that this urination which you are going to let it go is not related to your sickness or disease. أو نفس غير أو نفس الحدث, or same حدث, however not related to the sickness. Or no, a person who has a little bit diarrhea, drip, I don't, you may be disgusted, whatever, but these are important. And many elders, they are shy to tell you even that they have this problem. So they need to know the rule. You need to tell them, you need to learn these rules. This is not about disgusting and disgusting. So therefore, the dripping of the stool is diarrhea. He says, well, now he has the urge to make a dump, big one. So since I'm diaper and I'm just in the najasat, let me just let the heavy stuff come out. Nope, see daisy. That will not be exempt because that is not depending on the sickness. Your sickness is loose diarrhea is coming out frequently. But now you make a big thingy. No, that is different. So for you, you'll have to renew the purification and the wudu. Okay. So this is for that person. He does not find any time, or if he finds any time, and that time is only sufficient for. So if somebody does not find any time, or he finds time, but it is not sufficient for entire wudu, or I mean wudu and entire tawaf or entire salah. No, part of the tawaf, part of the salah. We said this person, uh, uh, yes, um, yeah, this person will be on continuous state of purification. But if he finds a time enough for وما إذا كان يجد فترة تسع الطهارة وبعض الطواف. However, if he finds some time that he can perform the purification and some of the tawaf. So here he says some of the tawaf. There he said some of the tawaf. بعض الطواف. Here بعض الطواف. فالأحوط أن يتوضأ ويأتي بالطواف في الفترة. So it's obligatory precaution that he should perform the purification. That means wudu or any purification is required, and some of the tawaf. So on the basis of obligatory precaution, he should choose this time. He should choose this time. يأتي بالطواف في الفترة. ولكن لا يجب تجديد الطهارة إذا فاجأ الحدث. However, he is not required to renew his purification if suddenly the impurity encounters during the tawaf or after the tawaf إلا أن يحدث حدثا آخر مثل ما تقدم. Let me see. I mean, I see that here also he said بعض الطواف. Let's see. فإن كان لا يجد فإن كان لا يجد فترة أو يجد فترة يسيرة. لا تسع الطهارة. Okay, yeah, that is that clear. So let me just refresh the thing because they they both look like, but then this word la makes a huge difference. So he says that if he does not find, does not find some time or even a smaller time that could be sufficient for the purification or part of the tawaf, okay, in which he can see, this is where it get mixed up, in which he could perform his wudu and his tawaf and he prays. So until here, we understand that he doesn't have any time. He has some time, but not sufficient for some tawaf. He just does the wudu, he just washes the face, whoopsie daisy. Or he just does the masah, whoopsie daisy. Okay? So he doesn't have that time, or he has some time, but not sufficient for part of the tawaf. So this is considered someone who is continuous impurity. So وبعض يتوضأ ويطوف. Here the sentence get mixed up. So there needs to be a comma here somewhere. ولا يعتني بها بما يخرج منه بعد. So then he's considered continuous. Then he doesn't have to choose that time because that time is not sufficient for some part of the tawaf. He does wudu, completes the wudu, bends for misah, and whoopsie daisy happen. Bends for wiping the foot, something like that. So, so therefore, this person, the first scenario is like this. He does not have time at all, or no, he has time, but that time is not sufficient to do purification and part of the tawaf. This is where it gets mixed up, okay? So this is scenario number one. No time, or yeah, there is time, but not sufficient for doing part of the tawaf or and salat. Part of the tawaf and salat. So he should ignore whatever comes out before the tawaf or during the tawaf or during the salat, and he is considered from those who, even though he has time for wudu, but not time for part of the salah. Khalas Baba, whenever you want to pray, you pray. You don't have to choose this time. You don't have to choose this time. You can pray anytime. وهو باق على طهارته, and he will be considered maintaining on purity as long as other hadath, other metaphysical impurity does not encounter, or even same does not encounter, which is not related to the disease. As we mentioned, the urine dripping is the problem. If the let it go urine comes, then you have to do your wudu. Or even the dripping of the diarrhea, but then a big one comes, no, then you have to do that. Because so whatever is not related to this disease comes out, you will have to maintain purity. So this is part one. The one who does not have time, or has time but not sufficient for part of the tawaf or salah. Now the other one is amma ida. Now if he finds some time sufficient for wudu and part of the tawaf, okay, وبعض الطواف, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, he should perform the tawaf in that period, which he will not have that time for the full tawaf, but he will have time for part of the tawaf. ويأتي بالطواف في الفترة. However, he does not need to, because he did the tawaf. During the tawaf, whoopsie daisy happened. Okay? لا يجب تجديد الطهارة إذا فاجأه الحدث. He will not be required to renew the purification if the hadath encounters. If the hadath encounters during the tawaf or after it. إلا أن يحدث حدث آخر. Same ruling. But only this, the difference is the one who doesn't have part or has part but cannot perform the even a small part of the tawaf in that period, then he will choose any time. But if somebody has a period of purification sufficient for at least doing part of the tawaf after the purification, then he should choose this. But then what if if another impurity encounters? He will have to renew the tawaf. What if similar impurity encounters but in a different mode, not depending on the sickness? He will have to renew. So he says that ولكن لا يجب تجديد الطهارة. If during the tawaf that encounters, like he chose the period of purity for at least some part of the tawaf. So during the tawaf, the impurity started to discharge. That's fine. Or after the tawaf, as long as it is not different impurity other than the sickness, or it's not it's same like sickness but in a normal mood and not sickness mood. Okay, so now we come to the question number 6. Al-mar'a al-mubtala bi salasil bawl. If a woman, she was she was she had this problem of dripping of the urine, continuous dripping of the urine. هل يلزمها تجديد الوضوء أثناء الطواف مع أنه يستلزم كشف ذراعها بمرء الرجال? We had pointed out this previously, okay, that if she encounters this dripping of the urine and she performs her wudu during the salat of tawaf, هل يلزمها تجديد الوضوء أثناء صلاة الطواف? When the dripping happens, is she required to renew her wudu during salat of tawaf? Because if while she's doing salat of tawaf and drop of urine discharge, and she has a bottle of wudu, she's going to do the wudu in front of the people, okay? She's going to disclose her arm, and men will be looking at her arm. So لا يتيسر لها الوضوء من دونه, without disclosing the arm, okay? She can't do wudu normally in that area of the tawaf, around surrounded by public. So it says لا يجب عليها التوضؤ أثناء الصلاة. It is not obligatory upon her to renew the wudu during the salat. فإن من تكون لها فترة تسع الطهارة بعد الصلاة فقط لا يجب عليها الطهارة تجديد طهارة عند مفاجأة الحدث. We mentioned if someone has continuous impurity, okay, discharge of impurity, or he has some time but not sufficient for salah, not sufficient for tawaf, then this person uh, does not have any problem. Continuous, doesn't have to renew the wudu during salat, okay? As long as the discharge is is due to the sickness and not the normal discharge, okay? Even though it's a recommended precaution to renew the wudu, as if she has secured that she can perform the wudu without any violation of the hijab. Yes. So لا يجب عليها تجديد الطهارة. It is not obligatory. Yes, if she has time enough that she can maintain her purity, then she will have to offer the in that time the salat and the wudu and the salat with purification. But in this question, there's no time. It's continuous flow, dripping of the urine. Okay, finally, last question in this session. إذا أصيب الطائف من شدة تعب بكثرة العدد. Now, you know, people that are holding themselves, they don't want to mess up with the tawaf. They don't want to interrupt the tawaf. They don't want to do anything that can cause like disruption of the tawaf. So if a person who is holding himself and he performs his tawaf and everything, but out of fatigue, and he's exhausted, being exhausted, إذا أصيب الطائف من شدة التعب بكثرة العدد, he started flowing. The faucet became open, loose. Okay. علما أنه لم يكن كذلك قبل الطواف, knowing that it was not there before the tawaf. Before the tawaf, he was fine, but the fool and the hummus and all those kind of things, which had been burritos, whatever he ate, it started affecting and piling up. And then one of those gigantic people who they like to just hit. Baba, you are walking there. Why do you want to hit with your elbow with my stomach? There are these elbow hitters on the tawaf. You need to be careful about them. So especially, don't be surprised if you see some elderly women. They are like, they will just push you and do that. Why? Because they're afraid that they might get lost, you see. So they hold tight to their guy or their other ladies, and if anybody comes in between, kaboom, kaboom, you will get it. These elderly ladies, they get super hyperbolic and funny energy there, that they become super women there. So here, and one of these ladies, elderly ladies, whoops, it is hit you bad on their stomach because you're coming in their way. And whoosh. بس علما بأن ذلك يحتمل أن, and he says, and there is a possibility if he had rested for some time, such as 1 hour, he would have, this would have not happened continuous flow. Because for example, the strike was so hard that he started continuously um, discharging. So if he would have rested 1 hour, for example, he would have come to his normal state. Um, but then the people are not going to wait for him. The caravan is not going to wait for him. What is the responsibility? He says, on the basis of obligatory precaution, to combine between performing the tawaf and salat al-tawaf with the rulings of the one who has continuous impurity, and to delegate a representative on his behalf. So these were the rulings related to metaphysical impurity. Inshallah, in our next session, we'll do the questions and answers about the physical impurity, or the one which encounters the person who is doing the tawaf. Um, this was, yeah, though the discharge was metaphysical, but it was related to wudu and salat, wudu and purification of the physical impurity. So purification of the physical impurity is not as peculiar in this case as much as the ruling of the metaphysical impurity. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.